Welcome back to Cruder.com. In this next video on tables, we're going to go into some real-life examples showing how tables can be used with formulas, conditional formatting, and pivot tables. All right, so we're back to this same product sales data, and quickly let's set this up as an Excel table. So I'm going to hold Control-Shift to the right and then down to select my entire range, then Control Backspace so that Excel pops me back up to the top. From here, I'm just going to hold Control-T to get this Create Table dialog box, and now it recognizes my selection. Yes, I have headers, so I'm just going to hit OK. And quickly, our table is now set up. Let's go into this Design tab on the ribbon and rename our table name as Product_Sales. And now let's begin with checking out how we can go ahead and use formulas against this table and seeing all of the advantages that tables give us in Excel. So let's just do a Vlookup formula. So I'm just going to type Vlookup, and let's say I am going to look for a product ID, and I'm just going to type this in, one of the product IDs that I know is in the list. I'm going to look for 10499, and I'm going to look for it within this table array. Now watch this. So I'm going to select right here. I'm going to click on the top. Notice how Excel is writing this cell number right here, or this cell reference, this product ID. It's referring to it as product_sales, pound headers, and then also product ID. So it's saying grab the headers and specifically product ID header. What I want to point out here is do not try to write this. Let Excel write it for you. And really what we're going to do a whole lot more here. So I'm going to hold Control and Shift so I can select all the way down the headers, and then Control Shift down to select the entire table. Now look at how it's written. I'm going to hold Control Backspace to pop me to the top. Look at how Excel has written this table reference, or this table array here. It's written as product_sales #all, or $all, which is much different than we're used to seeing when we write this outside of an Excel table. Now let's just finish this up and say I want to pull back column, this one right here with the amount, so I think that's 8. We're going to look for an exact match, so I'm going to type false or 0 and hit enter. And Excel pulls back, we have 23,832 cents. Let's just check that real quick. So I'm going to go to my filters and type in that number, 10499, and I'm going to hit enter. And our first one should be what it was pulling back, because the Vlookup formula will find that first instance, then go all the way over 8 columns and return this number. So that's why 23,800 was returned. So let's go ahead and clear this filter. What I love about writing formulas against an Excel table like this is the range that Excel puts in here. It's a dynamic range and not a static range. So now when I go ahead and pop to the bottom, Control down, and I say, hey, I need to add another row, I just hit Tab and Excel gives me another row. Now when I go ahead and pop back up to that formula up here and come back into it, I see product sales all, that's selected all the way around here. Now when I scroll down to the bottom, Excel has grabbed this last row. I'm going to hit Control Backspace to jump back to the top, hit Escape. And now let's take a look at how we can use conditional formatting in the same way of this extending or dynamic range within tables versus non-Excel formatted tables. So I'm going to select this amount field here on the right and just go Control Shift down to select it all and Control Backspace to hop back up to the top. And I've selected this range because this is the range that I want to apply a conditional format to. So let's pop into the ribbon on the Home tab, go to Conditional Formatting, and let's do one of these quick access buttons that they already have programmed here, and let's grab a color scale. So let's use this green one, signifying the darker green being a higher number, and then the lighter the green, the lower the number. So let's just click it real quick, and you can see that it's getting brighter, brighter, brighter here until it finally hits this break from green to white, and that's because I had it sorted by date and amount, both of them ascending. So what if we go to the very bottom, Control down? Let's say we want to go ahead and add in another month. So I'm going to grab this just as a fake extra month that I'm going to paste in here. So I'm going to paste this as special, because if I paste it normal, watch and you can see that, hey, Excel has added this to the table. You can see the new banded rows going all the way down here, but the conditional formatting isn't working against all of the values up above. It's only working against these values, which is why 63,000 is white and 104,000 is brighter green. So we want to undo this, Control Z, and then Control Z again. And this time, let's go ahead and paste this as a value. So I'm just going to paste values, And now you can see that this green right here matches this green up here. And it matches all the way through down through this sequence. So again, what I'm trying to show you here is that this range right here is now extending for conditional formatting. So if I go into conditional formatting, you'll notice that when I manage this rule, it goes through 11506, which is this last row. So that's where it's applying this condition to. Now let's go ahead and remove this, and we could simply just delete these rows real quickly, but I want to show you how this works down here in this bottom right corner. You can get in here in between, you can see my cursor is changing to that diagonal arrow, and it's grabbing that corner piece of this table. I'm going to say, hey, I want to remove these things from the table. I'm going to leave it here, and now I'm going to delete these, Control minus. I could have simply just hit Control minus here and then said, hey, remove the entire row. That would have done the exact same thing as pulling that up, but I wanted to show you how this works. So lastly, let's go into seeing how we can go ahead and turn this into a pivot table. And you can do two ways. You could select the entire table by Control Shift right and down, Control backspace, and going into Insert Pivot Table. And Excel quickly recognizes that, hey, this range you selected, well, that's a table, and it's called product sales. So we could either do that, or you could just be selected on this table, where then you have the Design tab illuminated on the ribbon here, and we can ask Excel to summarize with a pivot table. And this same dialog box will appear. Let's put it on a new worksheet and press OK. Now let's just make a quick pivot table. I'm just going to grab the periods and put in my rows, and then the amounts. Let's sum up all those amounts. So this is telling me how much we made each month. So January, we made 36 million. 31 million, 36, 37, and so forth, and 428 million for the entire year. Let's go ahead and test that this dynamic table that we're referencing using this pivot table, let's make sure that this works correctly. Let's just verify and improve it out. So I'm going to paste that same value right below here, and I'm going to put a variance to it. So I'm going to say equals this minus this other value that's outside of the pivot table. So I'm going to hit enter, and there's no variance. Perfect. So let's go back to the table, and let's pop to the very bottom. So Control down, and let's do what we just did before. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it as a value. And now our table doesn't end right here, it ends all the way down here. So let's see if this pivot table had picked up a different number now. We're back to the pivot table. Let's come in here, and we need to go to Analyze and refresh our pivot table. When I click this, we notice that now we have a variance. It's changed by 608,410.72 cents. Let's just verify that quickly. So let's go back, and it should be all of these right here. And when I look down into my quick sum, I have 608,410.72, exactly what I had on sheet 2 in this pivot table.